Are you thinking about moving to New River, Arizona? Well, in today's video, I'm going to go over 4 pros and 4 cons of living in New River. Now, if you're new to this channel, my name is Faul, and I'm a real estate agent here in the greater Phoenix area. If you want to stay up to date on all my new videos, community tours, property tours, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Now, if you want a full tour of New River, I have a previous video I've made. I will add that in the description below, and that will give you a little bit more detail on where it's located and some of the amenities it has to offer. But in today's video, like I mentioned, I want to go over some pros and cons you can expect if you're looking to move to New River. In general, New River is an outskirt town. It's on the north end of Phoenix. I do have clients that live there. I have clients that have sold homes there and they've moved elsewhere. So I have a good idea of what the people that live in New River think of it, and then as well as some of my opinions, things I like and don't like about the community. We're gonna start off with the 4th con of New River, and that's gonna be the wildlife. Of course, we live in a desert, so you can expect that there's gonna be insects and other wildlife that maybe people aren't fond of. Within New River and really any of the outlying cities or towns, you're gonna find a little bit more of that because it's not developed yet, or it's a little bit more rural. So some of the animals in New River, and I've seen these, and my clients that live there have experienced it as well. There's tarantulas, rattlesnakes, other snakes, scorpions, and I just bring that up because, say you're in a community in the middle of Phoenix that's a subdivision that's been there for quite a few years, more developed, very unlikely you come across, say, a tarantula or even a rattlesnake. Of course, there's the better wildlife, there's rabbits and quail and owls and road runners. So there's some other animals to look at, but just something to keep in mind that there's some of the other critters that many people don't like, and they likely will be on your property if you're located in New River. The 4th pro of New River is going to be a lack of development. Now, what I mean by that is there's not a bunch of subdivisions built there. In New River, there's not a bunch of commercial buildings, distribution centers, stores. It's really a town of people that live on land, mostly acres and larger properties. Now, there is 1 or 2 sections kind of by themselves off a little bit to the west and the south of New River that are actual subdivisions. But when I'm referencing New River, I'm talking about the bulk of the area, which is actually on right off the Interstate 17 and then going east off New River Road. And throughout that, you're just going to see a lot of single family homes, or some people have manufactured homes. But nonetheless, throughout the areas where people live, there is not any development, and that's kind of nice. You're not getting traffic from semis and different things like that coming through the areas where people live. And the 3rd con for New River is that we have septic and our certain water situations, and I'll elaborate on that. But first, the septic. Some people are not a fan of septic tanks. So if you're not familiar with that, basically your sewer system is not hooked to the city piping and it goes to the city sewage plant. You actually have a tank outside buried in the ground and a leach field and that kind of thing. And every 3, 4, maybe 5 years at most, you have to get that tank pumped out. Some people don't like it. They had a terrible experience, or they don't want every few years the maintenance of having somebody come clean it out. But most properties in New River do have septic, so just something to keep in mind. Now, on the water side of things, there is no city water in New River, so you don't have water coming down the road, underneath the ground, of course, to your house. Most people are on a well, either a private well specific for the property or a shared well with a few of the neighbors. There's also some properties in New River that have hauled water. What that is you have a storage tank, could be above ground or below ground, varies in sizes, and somebody actually trucks your water in to you and they fill that up. Now, what's nice is a lot of those homes with hauled water do have a sensor on there, so when the water gets low enough, it triggers the water company to bring water out. But I do find that a lot of people find it an inconvenience, especially the hauled water. The well is not inconvenient, but the combination of potentially having hauled water and or a septic tank, some people don't like that, and so that's why that is the 3rd con. And the 3rd pro for New River is actually one that I really like, and that's going to be the views you have from being in New River. Most of the properties have some sort of mountain view. No matter where you're at, you have a pretty good view of mountains surrounding New River, because New River's kind of tucked in between a few different mountains. So there's different kind of taller peaks, and then going north, there's Table Mesa. So no matter where you're at, I like it. I think when the sun's setting, it's beautiful. Occasionally, if we get snowfall that comes down below a certain elevation, you'll see that to the north, just north of New River. So a lot of good views in all directions. The number 2 con is going to be commute. While most people like New River because you're kind of out of the main areas of town and it's quieter, I like that myself. If the commute, depending on where you're working, if you're in downtown Phoenix or need to get to the airport, you're looking at least about a 45-minute drive. Now it is a straight shot directly south down Interstate 17. It's a good drive all the way down there to any grocery store or any shopping like that. Either if you go to Anthem or over to parts of Cave Creek or off Carefree Highway and I-17, you're looking at about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, depending on where in New River you're tucked in. So there's nothing right around the corner. If you needed something real quick, there's a gas station, of course, but to go actually grocery shopping, you're looking at about 15-20 minutes. So some people don't think that's a big deal, but just something to keep in mind if you're going to be moving to New River. The number 2 pro is outdoor activities. Now with New River's location being right at the base of some of the bigger mountains and tucked behind some other smaller mountains, there is lots of options for hiking, mountain biking, trail riding. If you have ATVs, UTVs, dirt bikes, you could go for days literally on these trails. So most people head north on those trails up towards Table Mesa, towards Black Canyon City, and then going west you can get out to Lake Pleasant. So for somebody that wants to be near the lake, New River's not a bad spot for you either. You just head down New River Road to the west and it's just down the road a little bit. So a lot of outdoor activities if you're somebody that enjoys that. Of course, in the summer months, it's a little toasty out, but you got the lake close by. Now, the number 1 con is going to be the housing prices in New River. The median housing price in New River is well over $100,000 more than the median price in the greater Phoenix area. You're spending more, you're typically getting more land, so there's costs there. Depending on the house, could be newer, could be older, but the big thing is that it's desirable because of the location, but also the lot sizes you'll get there. So depending on somebody's price range, they like the idea of being on the outskirts, having some property, a little bit of elbow room from the neighbor, but depending on what somebody can afford, New River could be not an option because of the prices there. And so I find that as being the biggest negative for people looking in New River. Down to the number 1 pro of New River, and that's going to be how secluded it is. So as I mentioned, it's tucked behind or in between a couple different mountains, and that keeps it kind of away from the city, and people love that. There's no street lights, it's the county, so there's dirt roads, there's stop signs, very few street lights, so it's dark at night, and there's only really one main road that runs through New River, and that's New River Road. So depending on where you're at, either way you're going to be coming into New River on that road, but most people aren't going to be cutting through New River to say, get around traffic on the interstate. It just wouldn't make sense. There's only a couple places to eat in New River right off Interstate 17. So for the most part, most of the stuff is just outside of New River and Anthem or Cave Creek area. So a lot of people love that they're kind of tucked back in their own community. The only people kind of coming through there are other residents of the area. So I find that as being the number 1 pro of New River. Well, there you have it, some pros and cons of New River, Arizona. I hope this was helpful if you're somebody that's looking to live on the outskirts of Phoenix, have a little bit of property, have some quiet. New River could be a good option for you. There's also other communities just like it that have other pros and other cons, but New River really is a great area, awesome views, good location, right off the interstate if you want to head north to get up to cooler weather in the summer. A lot to offer. So if you're somebody that's looking to move to New River or really any of the surrounding areas of Phoenix, feel free to reach out to me. I have clients that have watched these videos and reached out, and I've helped them find the best community for them. So I'd love to do the same for you. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.